this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 20, Text 16, translation. Knowing that one's duration of life is being similarly cut down by the passing of days and nights, one should be shaken by fear. In this way, giving up all material attachment and desire, one understands the Supreme Lord and achieves perfect peace. Purport. An intelligent devotee knows that the passing days and nights are exhausting one's duration of life, and he therefore gives up his futile attachment to material sense objects. Instead, he strives to achieve permanent benefit in life. Just as the detached bird immediately gives up its nest and goes to another tree, similarly, a devotee knows that there is no permanent opportunity for residence within the material world. Instead, he dedicates his working energy to achieving eternal residence in the kingdom of God. Transcending the modes of material nature by attaining Krishna's own spiritual nature, the devotee at last obtains perfect peace. Ahoratraish chidyamanam budvayor bhaya veipatuhu mukta sangha param budva niriha upashamyati. Knowing that one's duration of life is being similarly cut down by the passing of days and nights, one should be shaken by fear. In this way, giving up all material attachment and desire, one understands the Supreme Lord and achieves perfect peace. So here Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, and we know that there is a large section of the 11th canto which is called Uddhava Gita, and we know that in the scriptures or in the books that Srila Prabhupada has given us, there is many Gitas. So can you tell me which Gitas do you know?
Pramara Gita.
Bhagavad Gita.
Pramara Gita.
Pramara Gita, okay. Other? Bhagavad Gita, yes. That's the top, the main Gita. It can be also starting with Gita, like Gita.
Gopi Gita.
Gopi Gita. This is not starting with Gita, but it's also okay. Gita. Mahatmya. Gita Govinda. Gopi Gita. Any other Gita? What Gita means? Song. Gita means song, yes. So there are different songs, different poetic expressions in the scriptures of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, different aspects of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So,
Aila Gita is another.
Aila Gita also. Hare Krishna. Jai. Shagalam Krishna Jai. Jai. Swadapati Jai. Shagalam Jai. So in the scriptures we have poetic expression of philosophy, and Bhagavad Gita is also the form of verses. And now this, what Krishna has spoken in the Bhagavad Gita, he is expanding on in the Uddhava Gita. And Uddhava Gita is an amazing explanation of philosophy. Krishna is personally speaking to Uddhava. And last year, some of you maybe remember, we were discussing the 23rd chapter of this canto, which is the story of Avanti Brahmana. It's an amazing story which explains how one should take responsibility for his past, present and future, how one should stop blaming anyone from his misery, but taking responsibility and understanding that the mind is the cause of all problems, the conditioned mind. And it describes, actually, it's like a success story from his very miserable condition to his very blissful condition of being a devotee of Krishna. Avanti Brahmana, in this chapter, is described as a person who was crossing this path and how he is thinking. And when I read this verse, I'm thinking that who is thinking like this? Who is thinking that every day my life is being, the duration of my life is being cut down, and every day and night is actually bringing me closer to my death? Who is thinking like this every day? Usually people think, what is the next thing I will enjoy? What is the next achievement I can have, or next success, or next earning of money, or getting fame, or people think of various kinds of material desires. But Krishna is telling Uddhava here, one should be shaken by fear. Usually we are being taught that we should be fearless, but here Krishna says that one should, it's healthy to feel some fear. And Srila Prabhupada said, there is two complaints of Srila Prabhupada about his Western disciples. And one of them is, he said, that they are not afraid of Maya enough. So once Srila Prabhupada was riding on a train with his disciples, and opposite in the compartment, opposite of them, there was an attractive woman. And when they finished that journey, Srila Prabhupada said his disciples who were with him, I was praying non-stop to not fall in Maya. So he was showing his disciples that one should be afraid of the material energy. So what this fear should be about? Death is inevitable, anyway we will die. But there is, I think, the 19th verse, it's a little bit further away, describes Atmaha, the killer of the soul. So one should be afraid to kill the soul. And how one kills the soul? By allowing the soul to become covered by illusion. So when one allows the soul to be covered by illusion, then he's killing the soul. Atmaha. So people speak about, sometimes maybe, I don't know if any of you had this idea, but I have met devotees who wanted to commit suicide. And I tried to persuade them not to do it. It's not smart to do that. So they wanted to kill their body, thinking that this will relieve me from the pain that I feel, especially mental pain. But actually, if you commit suicide, mental pain doesn't go away. You continue to actually have the conditioned mind, and you still will suffer even more if you destroy the precious human form of life that God has given you. So it's never advisable to do that. But worse than killing the body is killing the soul. And by indulging in sense gratification, one is killing the soul. So probably most people think that we are crazy, that we are denying the things that everybody is searching after, or trying to achieve, trying to enjoy. And we are saying this is the greatest poison. And who understands that? So some devotees understand this because they have stopped doing these things. But you may be a devotee but still be attached to some kind of self-gratification and thinking that, I can't surrender 100% right now. So one is practicing mixed devotional service, mixing with self-gratification, mixing with speculative thinking, and in this way one is having sand in sweet rice. So there is karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti, yoga mishra bhakti, different kinds of bhakti. We can see that we meet people like this, people who are into very much into yoga, or some people are very much into jnana, and some people are into fruity results. They want to enjoy the fruits of their activities. And sometimes we do devotional service, but then we get angry why we don't get certain material result. And that's not the goal of devotional service, is not material result. So there were devotees who were translating Srila Prabhupada's books for many years and then asked ISKCON to pay them. So ISKCON, after some time, started asking translators to sign that they will not ask for payment. I did that myself. So they wanted money for service. Or someone is not getting recognition for his service. There is devotees who are serving for so many years and they don't care about recognition. They're trying their best to do it for the Lord. But some people, if they don't get recognition, they leave. They don't like to stay somewhere where they are not recognized or appreciated. And of course, from our side, we should think, yes, we should appreciate devotees, but the person who expects appreciation, he is actually an illusion, and he is not humble, and he doesn't have a proper attitude. So, sometimes we misinterpret what is written, and we take it, topsy-turvy, or opposite. If it says that we should we should appreciate others, then we think, others should appreciate me. We think like this. But actually, that we should appreciate others, it's not for you, it's for those who should appreciate you, other devotees. And they should think, I should appreciate every devotee. And the one who is expecting appreciation, he doesn't have a proper attitude. So attitude is so important in Krishna consciousness that there is this Krishna's name, Bhavagrahi Janardana, which means that Krishna is looking at the devotional attitude that you have. He is not even looking so much into external results that you achieve. Devotional attitude. So that means you have a certain type of consciousness. And one thing that we are learning from the scriptures is that we are learning how to think, because we don't know how to think. The way we are thinking is not in our own self-interest or in the interest of others. So Krishna is saying that we should feel some fear of the repetition of birth and death. So fear is, we fear death, we fear suffering, but the greatest fear is actually the fear of illusion. Because from illusion, all these opulences come, like death and suffering. Even a devotee doesn't mind suffering, pure devotee doesn't mind suffering, but he is very much afraid not to lose the association of devotees. He is afraid to lose the association of devotees. He is afraid to be in illusion, to lose higher consciousness, and to lose humble attitude. These are his fears. But actually he is not afraid of suffering. He's not afraid of suffering. And sometimes devotees even are ready to suffer so much so that others don't suffer. And in the Bhagavatam there is a verse which says that voluntarily accepting austerity for the sake of relieving others from suffering is considered to be the highest way of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart. Tapyante loka tapena sadava prayaso jana paramaradanam tati purushasya kilatmanaha. So how much Krishna appreciates when we are ready to give up our own comfort for the benefit of others. And therefore those who are trying to preach, who are going out, who are distributing books, who are sometimes risking their lives, who are taking time to support people and speak to people, how much this is pleasing to the Lord. So helping others and pleasing the Lord are directly, that they are related. They're related. There is another verse which says that self-effulgent Vaikuntha planets cannot be achieved by those who are not compassionate and who are not merciful. So then again, going back to Godhead is connected to how we relate to others. How we relate to others. You may say that conditioned souls are boring. They always have the same problems, same desires, and how can I take time to approach them, to try to persuade them, to listen to their story? So if you have such an attitude, you will not be able to help people. There we feel that you are not interested. So how can we be interested when we sit with someone to speak to them about their spiritual life or their problems or their desires? What do you think? How do you do it? I know that you speak to people. So how are you making it interesting for yourself when you speak to someone?
You ask them about themselves first of all, so you get to know something about them, their background, situation, and you find out that everyone has some suffering. Oh right, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is just my personal viewpoint, and what I've done is you ask people about themselves and find out about their background, and then when you do that, I mean, not an interrogation, it's like a dialogue or something, and conversation, and then they reveal difficulties they're having in their lives, and then I found out that everyone has some huge struggle in their lives, and that sort of evokes compassion within oneself, and then one just naturally feels motivated to give something that will help that person, try and help that person in some way. And,
so for you, it's not boring to do that?
Well, I mean, once the compassion is evoked, then it's automatic, really. I mean, I think it's a human thing, isn't it? Well, once just like these different charities, they explain this person's suffering in this war zone. Children are suffering, especially children's charities. They show children suffering, and then that compassion is evoked, and automatically people want to help. People want to help. They don't feel like it's work or it's.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So anyone else want to share? How do you listen to people? Or how how you can make it interesting for you to listen to people, more precise.
Oh, wow. Okay, but I didn't think about that. I'm just kidding. No, I love watching people smile. I do have a goal in mind when I talk to people, just to see their smile, so I do pay attention to them based off of what they're saying, to see what efforts that they make in themselves when they walk out the door. You can just pay attention to people's energy and see it. So. I know it brings me satisfaction when I see them smile, so I try to make an effort. Even if they believe me or not, but I don't know. And then what was the other question? So I can answer it appropriately. I'm sorry.
I think that's it.
Was that okay? Good.
No? Okay, more? One more?
Yes.
Just to actually just be there present and listen to what the person's saying.
But
Just fully.
how is it for you? Okay, for them, it's people like to speak about themselves, about their feelings, their experiences. That's given. That's a given. But how is it for you?
Well, I feel like for me, it's like I'm there for that person if I'm just listening and being present for them. So I feel enthusiastic to be there, present, and just listen.
You are not bored.
No, because I'm grounded in myself, listening to this person. I think I'm giving service to this person because I'm there, hearing them saying what they're saying. So listening is quite a quality to have.
Okay, thank you. There is children.
So for myself, I observe it depends on what mode I am. There are 3 modes of nature, and I'm feeling much passionate, and I'm not able to really listen to the other person, and the mind is jumping around with points which I know as well about that topic. And goodness is much more a platform where I can give space to that other person to express and put myself away, whatever this person likes to speak, I'm able to listen, but it's very rare.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you want to share?
I was just thinking that, like you said, people love to talk about themselves. So, when you listen to others, you can think, well, I like to talk about myself, so this person also likes to talk about himself. So then you just let them talk. And also there's great reward when you see the benefit, because very rarely do people actually care enough to hear from someone else. So when you just give them the space to speak and allow them to talk, then you get natural reciprocation. So for sure there's something in it for us, although that may not be our motivation, but you definitely feel some reward because you feel that they've had the opportunity to reveal their mind.
Mm-hmm. So revealing mind is one of the 6 loving exchanges also, and also hearing when somebody reveals their mind or giving them maybe some guidance and direction. So it's one of the 6 loving exchanges actually, listening when somebody's revealed their mind. And Srila Prabhupada says that our movement is based on 6 loving exchanges in the purport to that verse in Upadeshamrita. And I want to give you 2 ways how it can be interesting for you to listen. Last year I was here and I was quite sick, but still I pushed myself to go to Godalmin. You know Godalmin? Godalmin?
A place?
Yeah. In
Sorry.
Surrey, yeah. So it's south of London. It's a nice name because it starts with God. Godalmin. And there was a course which teaches you how to listen with interest and how to be interested in what they will say next. So one attitude towards listening to others is, oh, I know what they will say, they always say the same thing, it's boring. But another is you become curious that, oh, what they will say next. Always fresh, always new. And so 2 questions you can have in your mind when you listen to another devotee or a guest. that one question, how is Krishna helping this person in their lives? Especially how he is helping them to come closer to him or to engage in devotional service. And another is, how is Krishna challenging them? How is Krishna testing them? So when you have these two questions, it can never be boring because you can always filter their expressions through these two questions, and you can facilitate their own thinking, their own expression, and then if needed at the end you can say something, give them advice or something like that. But when people speak, they can actually hear what they think. And sometimes until they speak, they are not actually very clear what they think. So this is why I'm speaking so much about this. This is not a seminar, but because listening is such an important part of our service, but sometimes we don't exactly relish, we don't enjoy so much. Sometimes we listen because we have to. If you're an authority or if you're a mentor, you have to listen, but sometimes you don't feel like. But if you develop a taste for listening and you look for something interesting there, look for the jewels, for example. Like, for example, you come every day to the class and you think, oh my God, maybe, I don't know, I have to go to the class, but if you come to the class with the idea that I will be looking for some jewels in this class, I will be looking for something that is really, really important for me, something that will transform my life, and I'm going to be with a pen and paper, or I will record it and then listen to it again. If you have this kind of attitude, or when you are reading Prabhupada's books, you have a similar attitude that, wow, let me look for the jewels in this, let me look for something that is so important for me, and for the devotees I am assisting, for devotees I am counseling, then it will never be boring. It will always be interesting. And when we think about the mind, we think that mind is full of rubbish. And when I attended that course, they said that imagine that everybody's mind is a gold mine. So can you imagine this kind of attitude? Gold mine. So if we look at somebody's head, we know they have a mind. And from this mind, so many things will come out. And usually this is a conditioned mind, and maybe so much nonsense will come out. But if we look at the person and we think, oh my God, this person has a super soul in their heart, so much intelligence can come, so much amazing ideas, Krishna can inspire them on the spot, so let me facilitate that miracle, then miracles can happen. And famous German writer Goethe said, treat the man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat him as he can and should be, and you will help him to become that. So your positive perception of someone actually helps a lot. That the best comes out of that person. The best comes out of that person. And what Shastra and sadhus and gurus are helping us to do in Krishna consciousness is to refine our thinking. Because from our thinking comes our action. Not only thinking, feeling and willing. These three functions of the mind. And also there is two functions, additional functions of the mind, sankalpa and vikalpa, acceptance and rejection. So we, accepting and rejecting, to refine our accepting and rejecting, to refine how do we make choices. So maybe the best thing you want to tell someone is please make better choices on a minute-to-minute basis in your life. Why? Because your choices bring consequences. Your choices bring consequences. if you're a mentor, you want to counsel your mentee, and you would like them to make better choices throughout the day, and you would like them to make choices based on scriptures, based on the Sadhu Shastra and Guru. And for example, today's verse, you can think about this verse throughout the day, or you can think now, how can I apply this today? When you see some attractive window shop, and you really want to have that dress, or you really want to have that CD, and then you can remember that time is passing, I'm coming closer to my final hour in this body, in this life, and I should get serious in Krishna consciousness finally. So thank you for listening. Do you have any questions? Yes,
So, could you explain that a little bit deeper when you say we can, if people are, in the streets or in non-devotees, they speak Prajalpa or criticism or whatever, and then we see the super soul in them, and we trying to treat them as the best version, even friends. But how is that we don't give them a feeling that they should change, or they are somehow, not pushed in something which they don't want. But at the same time, we value and respect them as they are. At the same time, we see that maybe this, and you treat them in another way that they can't accept maybe. So
you want to inspire them to change.
Excuse me?
Do you want to inspire them to change?
No, just how to treat them in that way that you say that positive version. And if it's not really positive talk.
So you need to see them as the soul first. If you see them as the soul, then you see that potential. They have a potential to be a devotee. They have a potential to serve Krishna. And somehow you want to connect them with Krishna. This is your whole meditation. And then if they see that you are happy, they will be really intrigued. So if you are not happy, if you are miserable, then they will see she's saying be happy, but she is not happy. But if they can feel it. And sometimes we were laughing in Ljubljana yesterday that devotee who is in Tamaguna goes on Harinam and people think that he is shining light. Devotees are so bright even when they are in low consciousness in comparison to other people. So what to speak if you are in good consciousness and you approach them, there is so many people now who are healers and they are psychic and they feel energies. So they will feel your energy. Jai Shetty speaks about energy also. So your own Krishna consciousness can affect them a lot when you approach them. And your perception of them is also. And you can tell them, I tell these people all the time, you have a great potential but you are not using it. Oh, me? No, I have a low self-confidence, self-esteem. So we are not teaching people to develop their self-confidence and self-esteem. We are teaching them to develop confidence in God and esteem for God. Then self-confidence is included. Nowadays they speak so much about self-confidence, and if you have great self-confidence, you become proud. You become, falsely proud. And to preach Krishna Shakti Vinanahe Tara Pravartana, you have to be empowered. To be empowered by Krishna. So we have seen so many devotees who were empowered, but somehow they left. Amazing preachers. They left Krishna consciousness because their motives were not 100% clear. Why they were preaching, and do they really care about these people? And you have heard about the saying, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. So ISKCON is amazing, but if we add genuine care to everything we do, this movement will be irresistible. But it's not easy because we are envious of others. It's not easy to care. So you do your best. And you, person that is in front of you, whether it's a devotee or a guest or a like stranger, you see them as your brother or sister. God brother, God sister, and try to bring them back and give them a chance to connect with Krishna, because this is the only thing that will make them happy. So your meditation, your perception is so important. They will feel it. They will feel it when you approach them. Okay? Anyone else? You?
So Guru, you mentioned about Krishna being Bhavagrahi Janardana, that he is concerned about the mood with which we act and not necessarily the externals. So if you could help with the balancing of that challenging situation, when obviously the world around us has expectations of things to be delivered, let's say even cooking and making an offering on time. But we love Krishna, but the offering's an hour late or 10 minutes late, and how do we balance dealing with the fact that there's still deliverables in the world, but we have to do it with the right mood, and Krishna's just concerned about the attitude. Does that make sense?
Krishna was concerned only with the attitude, but I think Krishna knows that if you have a right attitude, there will be external results also. But if you have external results and you don't have a right attitude, you will leave. So we don't want to lose you. We don't want to lose a devotee who is a high achiever. It's called shooting star. You become a great book distributor, great manager, leader, whatever, and then after some time, where is he? And he is somewhere else trying still to squeeze a little bit of enjoyment from the material world, because his understanding, his mood was not right one. He had some hidden motive maybe, or it was like interesting that, maybe let me become popular amongst Hare Krishnas and show them that I can do something. So I think the right mood brings right action, which brings deliverables. Like this, okay? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.